Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, welcome back to Health, Wealth, and Relationships with Tisa
and Grant.
Well, today, Grant, we're going to talk about something that has affected my life personally. In June, the month of June, we're covering June disparities and health issues, and Alzheimer's and dementia is part of June. So, as you know, I've shared with you, my father died of dementia. And just so people kind of understand dementia, dementia is the umbrella. So it's like, what's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? Dementia is the umbrella. Alzheimer's is like a type of dementia.
I always wondered that. Like, there's different types of Alzheimer's. There's dementia is one of them.
Dementia is one of them. There's some others. Yeah, and I don't know about them, so don't ask.
But that's the main one.
That's the main one. And so it's under an umbrella of and these are brain dysfunctions and brain diseases, really, which is not a lot of research. So there's no cure or no specific cause that they've come up with to say this causes dementia. Just like cancer, it's probably
it's on the rise. I don't know if it's.
I know, like did you? Well, and did when you were younger, did we know about people who have dementia?
I did not. I
don't remember. Our older people back in my day, they were all on point. Like,
it seemed like it.
They lived longer. They might have had other problems, but they lived longer. I think because they just kind of grew up kind of old school and gardening and stuff like that. Like my nanny, which is my ex-husband's grandmother. She was just old and lived long, and she was so healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't remember older people having dementia. Like, I don't remember saying, "Oh, my uncle had dementia," or "My great grandmother had dementia."
I can't recall it, but I know more about it now, and I know personally people that have been afflicted with it.
Yeah, definitely. So 7.2 million Americans age 65 and older. Now, 65. Look, we're right around the corner, knocking on 65, but 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's. Yeah. That's a lot, 7.2 million.
And some people get it even younger. It's starting to happen in their 50s.
Starting to happen in their 50s. So it's a brain disorder, so there's no cure. So really, when you talk about Alzheimer's, it's really about looking at your mortality, on the mortality of that person. This is not something that's going to reverse itself.
Yeah.
It's not something that they grow as they can treat, and it gets better as they grow into it or whatever. Like, it can have it for now. It's not going to be having it later. It's actually a decline. And just really, the best I can describe is my father had it is a closing of the mind.
That's an interesting way you said that, a closing, because everybody has some memory loss over time. You're not going to remember everything as clearly.
Right.
But this is a dramatic change, especially when you don't remember who you are.
Yeah. Who you are, who your kids are, it gets to that point. To the point where your brain just closes, and to the point where you can't even remember to eat. Yeah. So that those dementia patients go into just a comatose state. They can, and it's different for men and women. I see, and women seem to live longer, but in that long, it's not a comatose state, but it's a state where they're not talking.
Yeah.
They might or might not be recognizing. So they're here, but it's a very zombie state, I want to say. And that's where you don't know if they're recognizing you or not. And something, they might say something from way back. And like my father told me when he got in that, he wasn't really got into the zombie state, but when you could tell the memory was going. And, he looked at me one day, he said, you look just like that girl Dorothy or somebody. She was a pretty little thing. And I thought to myself, well, at least he recognized somebody that was cute. I don't know. And brought a smile to his face. Right. And that would just have me, I had to just realize he doesn't recognize me as his daughter anymore. And that's the painful thing. So when it comes to dementia, it's really getting your family ready and getting that person ready and getting everything in order.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of a sad.
Your things in order, because like you said, it doesn't get better. You think you want it to. I've heard a lot of, home remedies. People try this and that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when the brain is sick, basically what's happening, it's going to lose a lot of its functions. And there's a lot of things that the brain actually controls in your body.
That's it. So knowing that, the only thing you can do is like anything, try to be preventative. And brain is a muscle like anything else. So, if you're doing a good person with brain drain, things like connect the dots, or word searches, or coloring. Like now they got coloring for adults. Those things that make you concentrate and have to look for things and train your brain. Yeah. Those things you should start doing as soon as possible. Yeah. Because really, like you said, your brain kind of gets old. You forget things naturally, but as you age, that's going to happen. But if you can continue to train your brain to be thinking all the time, the more you use it,
the person that's going through it, they start to understand. Because I've seen this happen. That they just forget. They have to write things down.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times they have to put little stickies together. Mm-hmm. They know something is starting to happen. Mm-hmm. And this is the point where you really have to tell somebody, like, okay, something's happening here. I need to go get checked out.
Yeah, but most people, I'm telling you, when it comes to that, because it's hard to distinguish like forgetful. Look, at 63, I'm feeling like forgetful. And then when I'm overwhelmed, I'm even more forgetful. Yeah. So if I start thinking like, damn, do I got dementia, it'll be a bad thing. No. But it just those things that when you get to a certain age that like my mother knew my father, he's from East St. Louis, would go home every year when he lost his direction home, something that you really instilled, like when you listen. And my father went to East St. Louis every year. He knew the route inside and out. But when she picked up his dementias, when he got lost, going back home to East St. Louis, and just going to the store, forgetting like in the middle of a drive where you're going. And my dad would say, "Where we going?" Right. He's driving, but he asked my mother, "Where we going?" That kind of stuff.
That's a telltale sign.
So there's signs, there are signs. Yeah. My girlfriend's mom, like I was telling you, she got lost. She had always been going to a certain location. Yep. She didn't come back from that location. We had to take her keys. That's when you have to say, okay, now you know where that place is. You know where home is, but you couldn't get there. Right. And they fight too when it's time to take them keys.
Well, nobody wants to admit something like that.
No, you don't. So they usually don't find it.
You were telling me that, number one, there is no real cure that occurs. But you also said something that kind of affected me, is that you said it could be hereditary.
Yeah, some of them are. Some of the dementias are, and they're just now getting around to finding studies. They got a new blood study now that's just come out recently about to take it to see if it's in the blood and how genetic it is, and if there's a certain thing in your blood system that rings true to that points to dementia. Mm-hmm. But there's tests. My sister, I think, took some kind of test when my father got diagnosed, and he's been gone for a while. So maybe 10 years ago, she took the test, and she said she didn't have the trait or whatever. And I think my girlfriend said the same thing, or whatever the blood test. It didn't say that they had it or was at high risk for it. But I don't know. I need to take the test. I'm gonna look that up, because I don't know. As I get older, what is forgetfulness? What is overwhelm? What is like dementia? So
to your point, is something that, if you're doing something every day, like you forget how to make eggs.
Right, that's right. Like and it does show up like that. Yeah. Like if I forget to my way home,
I'll let you know.
Say, look, we need to go check in. You should know how to get home. That kind of stuff. It really is that everyday stuff that you forget. Right. Yeah, my dad got so bad to a point where hallucinations are part of dementia. So just as a person has been through it, if you are suspecting your parent is like that, get them. There are tests that they can do, cognitive tests that they can take to see, and they'll check. And if they're thinking about older stuff rather than current stuff, that's a little bit of a sign. But mostly it's that routine stuff gets a little bit out of place, a little bit out of whack, and you'd be like, now, this information, so why are you asking me? Or you forgot to do something, they just are like adamant they did it, knowing you like, no, you didn't.
I tell you one thing, my parents watch Jeopardy like every night.
Oh, that's good.
They said that they're making sure their memory is working very, very good. Like, we're gonna watch Jeopardy, and they get that, a lot of the answers right. I was like, wow, they better know.
Training their brain. They're training their brain. They're just not just blindly watching TV. They're active. Yeah. That's good. That's real good. So again, continue to exercise your brain just like any other muscle you would. Just like your heart. We always talk about your heart, but your brain is a muscle too. That means get sleep. Your brain needs to rest, right? It's a muscle. You work every day. It's a muscle you work all day. So you got to think about it as a muscle. You don't work none of the other your muscles all day, every day, right? Yeah. But your brain is that muscle. So it needs to rest. So make sure you get good sleep. That's a good prevention method.
For our younger generations, because they're always on their phone, they're always in front of some kind of digital device, and they're constantly, absorbing information. Are they shutting down enough? Before they get back at it again in the morning?
Probably not. And then they're just data just getting going in their brains all the time. Are they processing the data? Is it just data overload? Because they get their access to the phones and the internet. If you're just on the internet, that's just data. That's just information. To me, that would be information overload. I would, I don't know how that'll affect in the long run, but your brain has to have focused information, not just information coming at it, because after a while it's going to be information overload. It's just like
it's too much, and that's what happens when you're scrolling. You're not really you're just getting headline. You might stop for a minute and go deep. Most people are just just kind of just rolling through.
I can imagine what our brains are doing, like stop, get off the phone, put the device
you
down.
That headache. You gotta make take a look at that.
So dementia. So takeaways, just in health wise, dementia is not normal aging. There's normal aging, and then there's dementia. So, so if you have, again, pay attention to some signs. If you have a parent, because they might be like, I'm just getting old. Some of it is age, but those things that they know, and that are just kind of out of whack, and they're putting salt when they should put sugar in recipes, those kind of things
like that.
Have them get looked at. Early conversations are the best. As soon as you can identify it and start making plans. The bottom line is, catch this. You got to know that they're not going to get better.
That part.
Memory loss is going to take place. So get them while they have the memories.
Yeah.
So that means if they don't have a will, get all that stuff while they're still cognizant of it and still within their right mind, as they say. If they don't have funeral plans, all of those, just get ready for that. Because what happens is when people have heart attacks, you can't get ready for it. But at least dementia, once you get the understanding that they're not going to get better, gives you time to get prepared. It's a slow death. And that's another really sad thing about it. Some goes years. My father started when he retired, like 67. He didn't die till like 80. And all that time, he just got worse and worse with the dementia. So that's years. And so when we talk about dementia, it's not just about the person passing. It's also about getting them ready while they can. And get ready for the inevitable. Not only just the funeral arrangements, but estates and wills and all of that stuff that's going to have to take place. And the earlier, the better. That you care for.
So you're bringing us into the wealth piece of that whole thing, and it's so important to have all your ducks in a row. I love how you just said once you come to an understanding, you and the other individual, that this is a problem. This is not going away. Let's get all this stuff together. We can record a lot of your information, your memories, everything you have, especially when you got to go into a court of law. And you got to get certain things assigned. Who's going to have power of attorney? These things you want these things done before the person is incapacitated.
Right. Before they lose that memory. Before they forget who you are.
Yeah.
Before they forget who you are, make sure you have all those things in it. Especially if you've got a big family. So that's what I say. As soon as you can identify and just be like, okay, and some level-headed person in the family says, we have to get ducks in order. If they're not, my parents were, that's something my parents were good about. My mother and father had the policies. My mother wrote out how she wanted her funeral, who she wanted to sing, just like, we didn't have to do a whole lot. She was that chick in terms of planning. As the older I get, and it's so sad because I talk about my mother so much, and she was such a pain in the ass. But I'm turning. So many ways. I'm turning into my mother.
It happens, right? Turning into my parents. That's that commercial, right?
I am, but just some of my ways and just some of how I move, right? How I move. So, because somebody told me I can be a real beast when I'm putting on these events, and I was like, but then I go back and I look at all my pictures get my pictures digitized, and I'll see my mother. She's at a podium, she's speaking, she's talking, she's organizing, she's running shit, and I'm just
there you are. This is me in 10 years.
But I remember being real mean too, kind of back then. And sometimes, you just got to have that whip when you got to organize a lot of people. And that, I just had that attitude. It's kind of funny to me, but apple don't fall too far from the trees, they say.
No. Well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the things that you got out of that is the things that got you prepared. You were prepared when the final hour, these things happen. Even today, we should all have a will. You should have these things. You should know where your important papers are.
That's it.
Another big thing is where the passwords are. You should write down.
Oh my God, since everything's digital, right?
Put the important passwords to bank accounts and things like that. Put them in a safe deposit box or somewhere that someone else knows how to get to it. because that happens a lot, especially these days. A lot of this information is digitized. How do you get a hold of it?
And or like you said, you have time. Get yourself on those bank accounts as a co-signer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so if something happened to them, you are still, your name is on it.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, this is only your mama's name. Now who had the power of attorney? You need, so like bank accounts, make sure your name is on it. So go ahead and put on as a, not co-signer, but a co-person on all those accounts. That kind of saves that power of attorney. But in terms of like estates and property and all that stuff, get all that stuff in writing, put all that stuff in trusts, so it can't get all probate and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole nother conversation, but put everything in trust. And so you can still have all the access to that stuff when they're gone. It's not like wrapped up in the courts and wrapped up in paperwork.
Even though the person's still living, because of their situation, the state can come in like, well, this person is no longer a sound mind and body. You've heard that now, sound mind and body.
Especially if the state is taking care of them.
All of that. And then all of a sudden you lose control. And you do not want, especially if that is your loved one, that's your mom, your dad, whoever the relationship is, take care of these things early, once you really understand what's going on. And then you can, it could be a long ride. It could be 15 years or so.
That's it.
But you got to
the early the better.
The earlier the better.
Yeah, because it's a decline. They're only going to forget more and more. Mm-hmm. So get them while they're getting good. Like they're getting them while they're remembering everybody, remembering you, remembering their situation.
And this happened. I got a friend of mine who's going through this right now. The home, you got to look at your home. How is it situated? Is this person been in this home a long time? How is it going to be modified? Because this person may now be bedridden or they're in a wheelchair most of the time. You might have to have a 24/7 care person in the home now. That There's a lot of stuff.
Get ready for the long ride. That's what I'm saying. So get your papers in order, but also, like you said, get the home in order. So case in point, my father was very mobile. And so it wasn't about like a wheelchair thing, because he was on his walker. He had to mention this all over the place. He just all over. And getting our house ready was double locking. So we had to get it so he couldn't figure out. It was like a child-proof lock. We had to get a lock on the doors, because he would get out, honey, he'd be up the street, and my mother wasn't mobile. And we would say, well, Mom, where's Dad at? And she was just like, I think he went out the door. Go see where he's at. My father be up the block on his walker, just gone. And a lot of times you'll hear about mom left the house, they disappeared, they will walk away.
They will.
And so what happens is you have to either have funds for somebody, you move in yourself, kids move in, a caregiver 24 hours, because they get up in the middle of the night and get out the house too. They just, their minds is just somewhere else, and they're gone. So you got to have those 24. And if you can't afford that, then you have to look at that long-term care. And those are called memory cares. Yeah. Those are, again, I don't remember memory cares when we were coming up. I don't remember visiting nobody in a memory care. So I don't know if this dementia thing is, we got to look and see.
There's a lot going on. Matter of fact, on my podcast this week, they have it's an application. Okay. But you can actually now monitor that particular individual. So if they go outside the perimeter zone, you are alerted. That's big.
They do, and they got a couple of those now. Kind of like remember the old I can't get up falling thing. They have now where they can track you. You can track anything, anybody. You can track your parents now, which is much better than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like I said, my girlfriend's mother, she didn't come back in the car. We going to do is go around looking for her in the car. It would have been lovely to have a little, even something on her car or something on her to say, well, she way over in South Omaha, whatever. Because she didn't come back for like 8 hours.
That's scary.
In the evening. So that's scary. Again, that's when we really knew, okay, mom's not,
So our key takeaway today, you got to make sure you plan early. Plan early.
As soon as you recognize it, see the signs, plan it. And make sure all your affairs are in order.
That's it.
Get your affairs in order. And get ready for the long term. In terms of, are you going to have to stay in this home with this parent? You're going to have to hire care, because all this is money that you ain't expecting, right? This is when the state comes in, because if you do have to put them in the facility, the state will take all your parents' money in terms of any kind of finances they got coming in, any houses. They'll sell your home, because they have to take care of you, and it costs a lot of money. These memory cares. But they have to be in there long term. So they're long term facilities where your parent might be in there 10 years, 15 years.
And it all depends on their other health, right? What else is going on with them?
But the bottom line is that those summers alone, because they wander. So you got to have a locked facility. You're gonna pay for that.
if they're getting around. Some people are in a wheelchair.
And some people are in a wheelchair, they're not going anywhere. But then another thing that goes on, there's a change in personality. So sometimes you just can't care for them because they get mean. Some of them get mean, like, right? If they're not the same people. So you just got to think of a brain alterations. My friend said his grandmother, some of these old people, some of the stuff that comes out of him. My father got a little more comical as he got worse. He would say some stuff that he normally wouldn't say. Yeah. And you're just like, that is not even because really, like, he started talking about my mom in a way like he would never say. Yeah. Like, I guess I better get on up and get it for her then, or she gonna keep, what? My father doted on my mother, right? So, but this is a funny story. My friend told me that his grandmother said her daughter came to visit her all the time, and he came and said, well, how you doing or whatever. And then she was like, I'm doing fine. She said, but you can ask this bitch. She's been following me around all day. My that God. Was her daughter. Where'd that come from? Well, again, they ain't the same people. And she was just a little more mouthy, a little more cussing, though, that grandma at that point. But she was talking about her daughter. She didn't recognize her daughter, but she knew she was somebody to follow her around. Yeah.
Well, see, you brought us right into that relationship world, those emotional journeys that was a journey that completely changed over time.
Well, that speaks to the people who are going to be the caregiver. Get your mind right. Yeah. It is a very sad thing when your parents don't know you, right? Oh. So I had to really just get my mind right early. Like, he's going to, at some point, we already know he's going to forget us. So I was like, already get my mind right for one of these days, especially me living in here. My father was in Kansas City. Yep. I was like, I'm going to go down there. He's going to be like, who is this chick? So, but he didn't hear. He remembered me almost to the end. Like I said, I became Dorothy, the cute girl from the past. I don't care. I don't know. But I brought a smile to his face. And so you got to, don't take it personally, I guess. It's nothing they're doing intentionally, obviously. And it's just.
So you went through that, you said that role reversal, While you were the child, they're the parent. All of a sudden, they're the child. You're the parent.
That's it.
How did that?
Oh, and it's hard because they still fight you. They still will remember that they're the parent. They'll be like, "I'm the mom," and you be like, "I'm the dad." And you be like, "Yeah, but I still got to watch you everywhere you go." Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It is very much a role reversal. But that really happens when your parents get older anyway, because they need you. Yeah. Right. They might be in a wheelchair. But so now they need you. So now you're an adult and they need you. Like, you kind of needed them as a child. And it's kind of like, you gotta, sometimes they ain't making the best decisions the older they get, or they get stubborn in their decisions, like their lifestyle. I'm not going to do it now. You can't tell me I'm the mom and I'm the dad. You'd be like, just do what you have to do. Really, it's just like they get real argumentative and fussy and fight with you. But yeah, it is kind of a little, because you're taking care of them when they're not making those decisions for themselves. And so yeah, it's definitely a role reversal.
Yeah, definitely. That's got to be taxing on your nerves.
So get your mind right. Get some therapy.
Get your mind right.
Take care of yourself as a caregiver. It really is.
Support groups. There's a lot of support groups out there.
There should be for dementia, because a lot of people are in this situation. There, even if they don't have dementia, just a caregiver of an older parent. They might have.
You don't get a manual. They might have diabetes. This is the 1, 2, 3 to take care of people. Like, you gotta learn this kind of stuff, right?
And the dementia, it's no fault of theirs, and they don't know the cure, and they don't know the why. So if you're in this situation, always just keep the dignity of that person in mind. Right. That's still your parent. They're still somebody you should always respect, even though they're acting like a child. Either they're fighting with you and not making good decisions.
I still remember the day I went to visit my grandmother in the hospital, and she didn't remember who I was. And I'm gonna tell you, that really affected me internally.
It does. Get your mind right.
You don't know who I am. Like,
I'm your favorite.
Right. Like, I was like, I did not like that situation.
No.
I took it personally, and I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because but you're like, wow, she does. You're like,
what you think about her daughter? Saying, did you know her daughter? You're a grandkid. Grandkids, you kind of
special. I thought it was.
And you were.
I was special, but that was it's a realization of what she was going through. Now, she didn't have it very long before she eventually passed. But when you get to that point, again, that memory loss is something as you go through that, and then you realize you've got to make.
It's more than memory. It's your mind closing up, because they forget not only memories. At the end, they forget how to eat.
Yeah.
So usually most people who have dementia, at the end of the days, they stop eating. And that's really because they forgot how to eat. Like the mind is not saying, okay, I'm hungry, get some food. That mind is swiveled to the point where now they're there. It's a vessel. They're kind of, like I said, very zombie state. Once they forget to eat, then the body starts to shut down. So that's another true sign that it's at the end.
Yeah.
And like I said, my father lasted 4 or 5, seemed like a week to me. My sister said it wasn't,
Oh,
but
that was it.
Lasted a long time. And so sometimes they can go quick and sometimes they can go fast, but get your mind ready. And listen, like I said, Lisa gets you ready to know they're going to be passing. They're not going to remember me. Instead of just like a heart attack, you ain't ready, and then you're like, oh my God, I gotta process the death.
Yeah.
At least you can get your mind ready because it ain't quick. It's usually a long process.
Gradual, but you got to adjust your life.
You got time to adjust. You got to.
There's a lot that has. So it says here, and I love this statement right here: no family should walk this journey alone.
No.
It's not something you're used to or you've done it before. It's new.
Yeah.
And so you need to talk to other professionals that know what's take, the support system, take a look at what's going on. I've got some friends that had to go through these. They had to make major adjustments, but they did it. But over time, it was quite taxing.
Yeah, because nobody thinks about taking care of their parents. I didn't think about that when when you think I'm gonna get married, have kids, I'm gonna be living my life. Nobody thinks, oh yeah, I gotta take care of mom or take care of daddy. Mm-hmm. So over half the people in the world now are taking care of a parent, one or the other, or both. Yeah. But moving back home or whatever, that's a real thing, and you don't think about that. So again, if you have a family and you got parents that aren't necessarily super healthy, that might be part of your journey. At least being able to be proactive and finding them a place and that kind of stuff. But it's going to cost you. Yeah, it's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you, and it's going to cost you heartache. But again, the earlier you start these things, and then as a caregiver, take care of yourself. Absolutely. Take care of other caregivers. You see somebody taking care of a parent with Alzheimer's, help them out. Sit with the parent. If you can give some time so they can get away from the parent and get some me time, help them out. Care for the caregiver, because people forget about the caregiver, and you're locked in. Like I said, if you're that 24-hour person who's really trying to do right by your parents, my girlfriend did that as long as she could at home. But then you just get to a point where you can't. They leave in the middle of the night. You can't be home all the time and all that kind of stuff.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
because I took care of my other grandmother to a point where we both realized, okay, now it's time to move to a different location.
Yeah.
Because it was the situation had changed dramatically. You'll know when you get to that point, okay, I can't do this by myself. Right. And there's a lot of organizations you can reach out to that fit your situation. They'll bring in a caregiver, whether it's going to be 8 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 12 hours, 24 hours, but you have to reach out.
It's going to cost you. I don't want anybody to not think that these people coming in. So there's CNAs that will come in, but it's almost a big business now too. As more people are aging, but you're going to need those in-home caregivers and stuff to help you out. Just have the money ready. Hopefully they have some savings that you can draw from to help them take care of themselves or whatever. But just know that that's going to affect your wealth. And it's definitely affecting your relationships because, like you said, we flipped the roles. Now we're the caregivers. And everybody's not a caregiver. My sister and I couldn't move in with my parents. I'm not that type of person to give you baths and help you pick you up. And we're like, are we going to throw our bags out? It's just, there's certain people for that. Yeah. There are people that are CNAs and nurses. You can't just pick people. No, it's not that simple. You can throw your back out. You're right. It's not just picking people up and all that. So, but if you're in that situation, I would say continue to pray for those families because it's not easy. It's hard. It's a hard thing. So, but you'll get through it. Lean on support. Do things early.
Getting back to where we got to get ready to wrap up. And so we got to have a hopeful message out there. It's not all doom and gloom, right?
Right. So the hopeful message is we may not control every risk factor, but we are not powerless. Right. We're powerful if we, have healthy habits. Everything that we talk about every week, have the healthy habits. Eat right, early awareness, not detection for this. Early awareness, because once you know, you'll know. And help to protect your brain as much as you can to help with your quality of life later.
That's it.
So work your brain, do those puzzles. Keep working it like a muscle, like you do for everything else.
Yeah. And if you know something's on, if you're the person that's going, something's off. You know it to the point where certain things that you just losing memory on things that you do all the time. And remember, it's those things. Remember, I said like just making eggs. Like I don't remember how, and you'll just start to see that. So that's not normal. I mean, certain things, there's something new, it's a message, somebody called. No, we're talking about something you do every day. I forgot how to brush my teeth. Could be something.
But what I'm going to tell you is the person that's involved in it does not know that. They don't know what's going on. They do. They might like a little things, forgetfulness, but it takes usually something major like I left the stove on and it caught on fire or something like that. I came back. Wow. They left something that was dangerous. Then it's like, oh, damn. Then it snaps. Okay, then it snaps. But all those little things, you'd be like, I forget my keys. I forget where my purse is, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that person is just gonna think it's just forgetfulness, and I'm old, I'm getting older. But it's really the people around you to pay attention to those things that you know your parent does, those habits that you know that they do. Because when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to see. It's hard to see. It's not like high blood pressure or anything like that where you can go check it. And it's not.
I forgot to pay my bills.
You forgot to pay bills. You forgot to pay your mortgage over last 3 months. And that's real. Paying your bills, stuff that you know you have to do every month. Yeah, my girlfriend found out her mom hadn't paid like the mortgage in the last few months. By the time you catch up to it, bills is one of them.
Interesting.
Yes.
Take note.
Take note. Pay attention.
So community impact and next steps. Can you give us that?
Well, our community impact, I want to remind people as we are moving and grooving and expanding, we're trying to bring that information to the table, to your person. So again, Pink Lotus will be partnering with the Urban League. Yeah. So just listen out and we'll continue to update you we'll have some hands-on extensions of what we talk about so people can really get it and practice it and make it second nature instead of just getting the information. So
I love that.
Look for that. Look for that later. Shout out to the Urban League.
We want to make sure that we are bringing everything to the table. So we know that Alzheimer's, as we know, dementia is a part of Alzheimer's. It affects your memory. But that should never diminish your dignity, as you talked about, the compassion, the hope that we have. And together we can support families are going through this. We can educate our communities. That's what we're talking about now. And we're going to continue to advocate for brain health awareness on the health, wealth, and relationship. So
that's it. And always remember to eat right
and move. We got to do those things. I'm telling people, it does not change. Remember, if you want to be a guest on health, wealth, and relationships, reach out to Tisa. Go to the website over there at Pink
Lotus ProjectNE.org.
Thank you. And everything's right there. Reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show. So we're going to continue to educate our community around these health issues. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.
Peace.
Hey.
Imagine waking up with more energy, a peaceful mind, and relationships that grow stronger every day. That is the vision Tisa Harden and Grant McGaw want to help you achieve. And it all starts with simple, practical steps you can take this week. On health, wealth, and relationships, every episode brings you real stories and trusted experts. Tisa and Grant focus on 3 tactical steps each week. Small, doable moves that protect your health, grow your savings, and bring you closer to the people you love. No complicated rules, just real progress. Try a clinic-to-kitchen swap to boost your energy. Start a money buffer habit that quietly builds your financial confidence. Or try a 1-minute exercise that helps you reconnect with your partner. These quick wins are not chores. They are steps toward a better life. People who try just one intentional step report more energy, less money stress, and evenings full of laughter again. Join Tisa and Grant. Start small, live bigger. Tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and subscribe now.